All right, just making sure we're going live here. All right, sorry about that, everybody. Looks like we're going live now. We were having an issue with getting connected. Let me just double check. All right, perfect. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, let me make sure I got my screen shared. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do a screen share. Here we go. All right. Perfect. All right. So we're getting ready to go live here. We're going to talk about the 4 steps to close your first wholesale deal in the next 30 days. So for those of you right now, obviously the holidays are coming up. We just passed over Thanksgiving. We've got Christmas and, any other of those kind of end of year holidays that are going to be coming up. A lot of times people will actually take that time and start to kind of shut their business down. That's not what we want to do this time of year. There are a lot of deals still to be had, a lot of progress to be made, a lot of marketing to still be done. There's no reason to kind of give up, even though that it's towards the end of the year. And the reason I say that is because, look, when it comes to finding people that we want to work with, when it comes to motivated sellers, motivation doesn't go away because it's the holidays. If someone is truly motivated, and what I mean by that is if they really need to sell, that is going to be something that's not going to go away if it's the holiday. So that's definitely something that you need to kind of consider. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to talk about 4 steps to close your first deal in the next 30 days. Before we do that, let's talk a little bit about some stories from some students. These are people that I'm working with right now to help them get their first deal done. We can see here Kendall. Kendall made $25,000, almost $26,000 on his first deal. He was able to do it because of the strategies that I'm going to share with you in this video today. We've also got a video here. An image from Quan. She made $18,500 on her first deal. And the way she was able to do that is the same strategy that I'm going to share with you guys today to get her first deal done quickly. She even has her second property under contract. So she's going to make another $15,000 on that property as well. So you guys want to find out exactly how they were able to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how you can find motivated sellers as fast as possible. So you can find leads and get started right away. Most people, whenever they first get started, they're doing the wrong kinds of marketing and they're not doing enough marketing, or they're doing marketing strategies that really just aren't going to produce the kind of results that they need to do. So we're going to share with you today how you can find those motivated sellers as quickly as possible, some of the strategies that you're going to want to use. I'm going to give you the play-by-play on how to get your first deal under contract in the simplest way with the least amount of friction. And the reason why this is so important is because there's a very important way that you're going to want to make sure that you're formulating your offers and putting properties under contract that's going to work with the seller. We want to call it a win-win situation where we're getting the properties under contract at a good price so the seller is happy, but also getting it under contract at a price to where we're going to be able to sell to our buyers and have them knocking down our door to want to buy that property. And there's a really simple way that I'm going to share with you how to do that. Then we're going to talk about the simple steps to find buyers and your wholesale deal. So that way you can get your first deal in the books, and a bunch of other nuanced tips and tricks for you that are going to help you along the way. So what is the quickest way to get your first deal done? Well, to do that, we want to make sure that we're implementing all of the shortcuts that we can. We want to make sure that every aspect of this business is set up to help you get that first deal done as quickly as possible. And it's probably going to be a little bit different than what you may be thinking if you're following some of the traditional ways that people teach wholesaling. So you're going to probably be in for some surprises today, and you'll see exactly what I mean here shortly. We also want to make sure that we find the sellers that are going to be the most motivated. Most of the times when we talk to people, we find people that would be interested in selling potentially, or they would sell if the number's right. They're just not motivated, or they might say, well, I'm interested in selling, but I need a couple of months. Well, if we're trying to do deals quickly, we can't wait a couple of months. We can't focus on the follow-up. Now, there's a great way to build follow-up into our business to where it's setting ourselves up for consistent deal flow. But in this video, we're talking about how to get your very first deal done as quickly as possible. And to do that, we need to find sellers that are extremely motivated. And most importantly, we need to find the right buyers and to make sure that we're getting our offers accepted. So as wholesalers, one of the things that most people make a mistake on is that they try to find the property first instead of identifying the buyers first. And the reason for that is because that's what most people teach you to do. If you're going on YouTube, you're listening to a podcast, you're doing different stuff like that. A lot of times people are going to tell you, pick an area that you want to work in, start marketing in that area, try to find someone that's willing to sell, make them a lowball offer. Once you get it under contract, then start shopping around for a buyer. What you're going to find is that identifying the buyers first is going to make the biggest difference in how quickly you're going to be able to get your first deal. All right. So let's move on to the next slide here. One of the big things that I see so many new investors make as a mistake whenever they're trying to get started, and one of the things that really holds them back from doing deals quickly is that they jump around from strategy to strategy. So maybe they'll build a list, market to it once or twice, maybe cold call, maybe text. If they don't get their deal done, they're going to say, oh, well, texting and cold calling doesn't work, or oh, this list doesn't work. I'm going to jump around from strategy to strategy. And ultimately what happens is they're giving up too quickly. So you really want to make sure that we're choosing the right strategies that are going to be a good fit for you. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And you want to make sure that you don't give up. So the key to this business is that we need to find people that are highly motivated, and we need to kind of have a scenario to where not only are they motivated, but the timing is right for those people. So in some cases, we have to make sure that we're kind of lining those two things up. And if you're giving up too quickly on a lot of your leads and a lot of your marketing, you're not going to be able to see those results. So we're going to share with you some strategies on exactly what to do. So the first thing, again, that we want to focus on is identifying the right buyers. So let me ask you a quick question. When you're thinking about building your buyers list, your goal is probably to build as large of a buyers list as possible. Most people's mindset and thought process is, if I build a list of as many buyers as possible, without even, checking to see if they're real buyers or not, that's going to give me more of an opportunity when I find a property that I can blast it out to them. That is probably one of the worst things that you could ever do. And the reason I say that is because most people that build a large buyers list are going to pretty much have a list of realtors. They're going to have a list of other wholesalers, tire kickers, maybe people that are buying a property a year. It's a bunch of people that may potentially try to tie your property up and never end up closing on the property. Having a large buyers list can be so much more of a hassle than what it's really worth. I typically sell to the same 5 to 10 buyers over and over again. And I'm going to share with you the exact way to find those 5 to 10 buyers that you can sell to, and why having just those buyers is really one of the most important things that you can do for your business. So first thing we want to look at is we want to look at people that are actually buying properties. If someone tells me they're a buyer, I could care less. I literally don't want them to waste my time at all. If they are a serious buyer, I'm going to find them through my process. So if I go to a RIA or someone that I'm talking to from a friend or a friend says, oh, can you add me to your buyers list? I tell them politely, sorry, I've already got some buyers identified for my properties. I don't really have any room for new investors at this time. And the reason why I tell them that is because not only do we want to have our buyers that we sell to over and over again, but we already know that the buyers that we sell to are pro buyers, people that are going to, number one, close every time without issue, and number two, pay the most for our properties. So I'm not going to find a new buyer that isn't really going to be the best buyer for my properties. They're not willing to pay the most for my properties. So in turn, by selling to them, there's a good chance that either number one, they won't close, and number two, I won't be able to make as much money on that deal. So that's kind of the hard part that you run into, is you kind of really need to identify and find the right buyers up front. So the first thing we look at, let's start out with our investor-owned properties. We want to get a list of absentee owned transactions. So the best way to do this is just through PropStream. So we can pull a list of any absentee owned transaction, typically in the last 3 to 6 months. So who's buying properties in the last 3 to 6 months as an investor? And then from there, we want to identify the buyers who are buying multiple properties. So who bought 3 to 5 properties a month? Typically, you're going to find a much smaller list. So, for example, I just ran these numbers with another student a little while back. We were in North Carolina, I think Wake County, so kind of the Raleigh area. I think that's the Raleigh area. We did a 3-month search for cash buyers, and we found over 300 investors who bought properties within those 3 months. From there, we looked at who the duplicate buyers were, and we found about 40 duplicate buyers. From there, we narrowed it down to the top 5 to 10 buyers who not only were duplicate buyers, but who were actually paying the most for property. So why in the world would we want to know who the buyers are that are paying the most? Jot a comment down below. Let me know, why do we want to find the buyers who are paying the most? Well, the reason for that is because that's how we're going to be able to make stronger offers in today's market. Right now, with the competition and the saturation in most markets, if you're making lowball offers, it's never going to work for you. So we need to have strong buyers who are willing to pay the most for properties. That way we can make stronger offers to sellers and have that flexibility. Second thing is, if we're finding buyers that are paying the most, that means we can sell to them at a higher price, giving us more profit on our deals. So that's the first step that we need to do. And make sure you jot a comment below, or let me know if this is resonating with you guys, because I really want to make sure that this makes a lot of sense. So make sure you're liking this, make sure you're sharing this, and also drop a comment below to let me know if it makes sense to identify the right buyers up front. All right. Step 2, the next thing we want to look at is identify the demand in our market. So what does that mean? So we've already identified our buyers. What does it mean to identify the demand? Well, we want to look back at those buyers who bought the most amount of properties and paid the most for those properties. And we want to see exactly where and what kinds of properties they're buying. This identifies the demand. So if we know that they're buying 15, 25, 30 properties every couple months, we can see what neighborhoods are they buying in, what zip codes are they buying in. We can see the property type, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, the square footage. All that information is really important for us, because we know that if they're buying those properties consistently, that they're most likely going to buy more of those properties. So that gives us our market demand. Why is that important? Why is it important to know where and what our buyers are buying? Let me know below. This is one of the most important things that we can do. Well, it's because it is going to allow us to laser focus in to find the right kinds of property. So instead of marketing to everybody, we can eliminate anyone that doesn't have a property that's a fit for what our buyers want. So when you're building lists to market to people, I would say 50% of that list, if not more, are going to be people that have a property that's not even a fit for what our buyers want. So we're taking 50% of our list and the people that we're marketing to, and we're wasting all those marketing dollars because we're finding properties that aren't a fit for what our buyers want. So let's shrink our marketing, lower our marketing costs, and give us a much better chance at putting a deal together by identifying our market demand and knowing exactly what kinds of properties we should include in our marketing. All right. So many people shoot in the dark when it comes to their marketing and where they find properties. You are wasting your hard-earned dollars in marketing to people that are not a fit for what our buyers want. So if that makes sense to you guys, if it makes sense to identify our buyers first, and then from there, look at what our market demand is, what those buyers are buying, and use that as a starting point for the marketing that we're going to do. Let me know if you think that's a better way than going out and blindly marketing first, trying to find properties, and then crossing our fingers, hoping that we're going to be able to find a buyer for those deals. I hope that makes a lot of sense to you guys. We got a lot of stuff to cover, but make sure you guys are dropping some comments below. Let me know if this is resonating with you. Let me know what you think about this. Third step, the third thing that we need to do to get your first deal done as quickly as possible is we need to target the right list of motivated sellers. So very first thing, we can eliminate anybody that's not a fit for what our buyers want. So what does that mean? First things first, zip codes. We can identify what zip codes are hot for our buyers, and we can eliminate large areas where we know investors are not buying. Second thing is we can eliminate property types. If we know that nobody's buying condos in our area, or they're just buying single family homes, that's going to be something that we can target. If we have hot neighborhoods, maybe areas where they're really targeting specific neighborhoods. Price point, if they're targeting specific price points, we can eliminate other price points. Bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, garage. If we're looking at people that want 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom houses with a garage, well, anything less than maybe a 3-bedroom, we can eliminate. Or if it only has 1 bathroom, we can eliminate that. If it doesn't have a garage, we can eliminate that. So that's the type of things that we want to eliminate from our pool of marketing that we do. If it's not a fit, we want to eliminate it. Second thing is we want to be able to actually find sellers that are going to be the most motivated. So what are some of the most motivated lists that are out there? Who would be one of the most motivated sellers? Drop a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. How do you find people that are most motivated? You wouldn't believe how many new investors that I talk to that say, oh, well, I'm just dialing people on Zillow, or I am looking through Craigslist for the for sale by owner properties. Let me tell you, someone that is selling their home for sale by owner is a horrible lead for us as a wholesaler, because they're selling that property for sale by owner because they're trying to get the most money for their property as possible. They're not listing with an agent. They don't want to pay those expenses. So if we go in and lowball that person, they're not going to have anything to do with it. There is so much misinformation out there on who is actually a motivated seller. One thing that you need to keep in mind as a rule of thumb when you're marketing to motivated sellers, if the person doesn't need to sell, there's nothing we can do for them. All right. We cannot find people that want to sell their home. We have to focus on people that need to sell. That is the single most important thing that I can tell you when it comes to finding lists of motivated sellers, is we have to find people who need to sell. So make sure you drop a comment below and let me know, need to sell. Make sure that makes sense for you guys, okay? One of the quickest and easiest ways to do that is to find people that have more than one level of motivation. So that would be what's considered a stacked list. So if someone has more than one level of motivation, they are going to be a lot more motivated than someone that just has a single level of motivation. So a good example of that would be someone that maybe has a vacant property. They may or may not want to sell. They may or may not need to sell. But if we know that not only that the property is vacant, but the person also passed away, there's going to be a much higher level of motivation there because someone's going to inherit that property. So there's 2 levels of motivation, and that's going to make things much, much, much stronger for us when it comes to building the right types of lists of people. All right. So let me know if that makes sense to you guys. Drop a comment below and let me know if you guys are resonating with this so far. All right, step number 4, we want to start our marketing. So when it comes to marketing, the biggest mistakes that I see people make is that they are not consistent with their marketing. I hear people say, well, I only have enough time to call 5 people a week. If you think that you're going to be able to do this business and talk to 5 to 10 people a week, you're in for a rude awakening. This is a marketing business that we're in. We're not real estate investors as wholesalers. We are in the business of finding off-market properties. And to do that, we need to talk to a lot of people. You need to be consistent. You want to set a goal for yourself for the amount of conversations that you want to have that day. So maybe you set a goal for yourself to talk to 15 people a day or 200 people a week. Whatever your goal is, you want to do that each and every week. Second thing we want to look at is you need to assess that goal. All right. And what I mean by that is at the end of the week or the end of the month, were you able to talk to enough people to do a deal? Well, if you talk to 15 people a day or a couple hundred people a week and you weren't generating enough leads or you weren't generating enough deals, now you know you need to up that budget and you need to up how many people that you're talking to. Assess those each week and then readjust your goals. And at the end of the month, if you didn't hit your goal, you didn't do a deal, then you need to up those numbers. That's as simple as it gets. It's really all about being consistent and choosing the right marketing strategies for your budget. Not all marketing is created equally. And the way that we look at marketing is what's going to give you the best bang for your buck. And what we look at is how many conversations are you going to have from those marketing strategies. So for example, if you were to do direct mail on a limited budget, direct mail typically only generates a response of about 0.5%. So for every 1,000 mailers you send out, you're only going to get a hold of a few people. Whereas with cold calling, you may get a hold of 3 or 5%, but with texting, you might get a hold of 25 to 35%. So we need to be smart with the marketing strategies based on our budget. And I'll share more with you guys on that here in a little bit. But the fifth and final step, and I know I said 4 steps, but I should have consolidated the marketing to the other one. But the fifth and final step is to make offers that actually get accepted. So how do you make offers that get accepted? Raise your hand in the chat box or shoot me a like or something like that if you are using MAYO or maximum allowable offer when it comes to making your offers on properties. MAYO is one of the most well-known ways to formulate an offer, and it stands for maximum allowable offer. Typically, it says that you look at the ARV or the after repair value of a property, you minus out any repairs, and then you basically use a percentage of that. So for a $100,000 property that needs $10,000 in repairs, we would take the $10,000 in repairs off and maybe times that by 70%. So then our offer would be 100,000 minus 10,000 times 70% would give us an offer of $60,000. Now, we do not use MAYO in this business, and the problem with MAYO is that it's very flawed for a couple of different reasons. Number one, you can't use the same formula or percentage for every property. Every property is going to be used for different things. Some people are looking at properties to keep as a rental. They're going to evaluate that much differently than someone that's looking to buy the property, fix it up, and sell it for a profit. And you can't use the same percentage or formula for $100,000 properties that you're using for $200,000 or $300,000 properties. Your numbers are going to be so far off. You're either going to be making lowball offers that get rejected, or you're going to be making high offers, and then your buyers are not going to want anything to do with your property. Plus, it uses a lot of guessing. So we have to guess at what the ARV is. That's not going to be the same ARV that our buyers are going to use. And then when it comes to estimating repairs, that opens up an entire another can of worms. Because what happens is if I estimate repairs on a property and you do it, our numbers are going to be way off. Now think about your buyers. If you've got a buyer that maybe is looking to fix that property up for as little money as possible and keep it as a rental, and you give them a repair estimate, and the numbers may be $50,000, $100,000 off from what they're thinking, that's going to kill that deal immediately. Whereas someone that maybe is looking to buy that property, fix it up, and make it a luxury property in the market, a luxury property like the higher end, they may have a completely different set of repair costs. So by you factoring those repair costs, you're going to kill the deal in most cases. So you really have to ultimately know your buyers up front, know what they're going to do with those properties, and we can look at what those buyers have actually paid for similar properties. So instead of guessing with an ARV and guessing at a formula to make an offer and guessing at what the repair costs are, we can use the facts of what the buyers in our market have paid for similar properties. Again, our buyers are buying deals, 5, 10, 15 properties a month, and they're buying the same types of properties that we're already finding. So there's no point in guessing at what they're going to pay. We can look back at what they've paid for similar properties. So again, if you're using MAYO, you're going to struggle as a new investor. So by doing this, what we've done is we've been able to identify our buyers up front, know who we're going to sell those properties to. We're going to be able to identify our market demand based on what those buyers want. We can use that to laser focus in our marketing, choosing the right marketing strategies that are going to work best within your budget, and then making offers that are win-win offers, making offers that we know we can get accepted from a seller because we've got buyers that are willing to pay on the higher end of the spectrum. And then also selling to our buyers at the higher end of the spectrum is going to allow us to make more money. So by doing that, what we can do is ultimately help you create your first deal on a much quicker time frame than what you would probably do if you were taking the traditional investing approach. So for those of you that watch the video that want more help, I am putting together kind of a one-on-one training. This is going to be something new that I haven't quite done before. Make sure you comment help below and I will reach out to you guys. So if you're on the Facebook Live, make sure you comment the word help. I'll reach out and talk about how I can help you implement this exact strategy in your business. So finding the buyers, identifying what the market demand is, helping you build the right marketing strategies using the lowest cost marketing strategies that we can come up with. And then third, helping you formulate offers to get your first deal done. Now, a lot of my students have been able to do their first deal in the first 30 to 60 days using this strategy. You can see right here, Cameron, he just did his first deal, made $18,000, has second deal set to close. Renee, she made $23,000 on her first deal. So look, here's the deal. This strategy works because it's a smarter, more approachable way for new investors to get started. So if you want more information on how we can work together, drop a comment, help below, and I'll reach out and talk about some ways that maybe we can help you out. So thanks for watching the video. I look forward to helping you guys out, and I'll make sure that I get the replay out for those of you that didn't get a chance to watch it. All right, thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.